Always trust the media. Yeah. That's where the winks come in.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 Candidates Forum, sponsored I can't talk tonight. Sponsored this year by Living in the News and by the Weiser Signal American and by the Chamber of Commerce. Just to kind of give you a little housekeeping before we get started, the candidates will be given a minute and a half to give their opening statements. We'll then roll into the question portion of the evening, and then at the end of the evening, we'll do another minute and a half for closing statements from each candidate as well too. Because we only have one candidate for school board that was able to attend this evening, we'll let Jim make a statement, and then we'll give him a few minutes to talk about the upcoming school levy as well too. And we're probably going to do that before we actually start with the candidates and going into the questions with the candidates. So even though you thought you were safe by sitting at that end of the table, Jim, you're actually going to be first. This is your heads up, just to let you know, okay? However, before we begin with anything else, I would ask that we all please rise and pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before I forget to, thank you all for coming and taking part this evening. It's great to see this good of a crowd for a local city elections. It doesn't happen all the time. So very happy to see this many faces in the audience. So Jim, with no further delay, we'll let you introduce yourself and make a little statement on why you're running for school board, and then also if you'd like to share some information on the upcoming levy.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's good to see a crowd of people that care about their community. We go through school board meetings monthly, and to just talk amongst ourselves and talk about the things sometimes is a little bit frustrating to me. But I appreciate the opportunity to share with you the passions of the school and why I'm here. In case I didn't say it, my name is Jim Brush. I am running for school board in Zone 2, which does not take in very much of the Weiser city limits, but there is a little bit up on the Chicken Hill. The school has been a place where my kids have grown up in Weiser, and to be part of what we're doing in the school system outside of being a teacher, being employed by the teaching profession has been important to me. I think that we've done some fantastic things, and we've made a lot of little changes which make a big change in the lives of our kids. And right now we are super ultra focused on academics, and it's very important for us to get the test scores of our kids up into meet the state averages and give them the best opportunity that they have outside of high school.
Hi.
So I will just take a little bit of time then to discuss the upcoming school levy. To let you know, we are asking the community for $750,000 for 2 years. It will not start until July. It doesn't go into effect till July of 2026, because the other one that we have currently expires June 30th of 2026. Within that $750,000, we need to help the school lunch program with salaries and benefits, and that's going to be about $200,000. We have a need for special education to be supported. The state requires us to give X amount of help for our special education kids, and they give us this much help and we have this much need. And so they do not fund us enough for the needs that we have in special education. We have $160,000 that we're in need of for all-day kindergarten. The state funds us for half-day kindergarten, and we provide full-day kindergarten. So we are in need of funding the other half of kindergarten. We have student technologies and equipment that is outdated. A few years ago, we were funded to get Chromebooks for all of our kids. Well, those expire. The Chromebooks that we have are no longer supported by the companies that have helped us get those. So we need to upgrade those so that we have Chromebooks that we can protect our kids with, so that we can make sure that they're not on sites that they shouldn't be and people aren't hacking into them. It's gonna take an upgrade in that technology. And then lastly, we have $130,000 for no pay to play. There's a lot of people out there that will say that sports, we shouldn't be funding sports this way. I would argue that sports is a huge learning tool for those kids that are playing. Not only do they learn how to stick with it and to be tough and really play with a team and play with people, they have to keep their grades up. And we have students that would not keep their grades up had they not been playing sports. And we also have student athletes that just can't afford to play. I have a brother that sends his kids to Rocky Mountain. My nephew plays soccer. He had to pay $1,100 this year just to play soccer. There's a lot of student athletes in Weiser, Idaho that would not be able to pay $500, let alone $1,100. So we're really grateful for those funds that the community has voted to give us in the past. Just a little more explanation on that. Because of Idaho Code 33-911, the last 2 years, the taxpayers were not levied for that $750,000. The state paid down those levies. We are really expecting some money these next years as well, but we don't know how much. If we do not pass the levy, we will still get funding from the state in the next couple of years, but the state will dictate to us how we spend those monies. And it's maintenance only on buildings. By running a school levy and passing a school levy, we can then tell the state, the voters of Weiser, Idaho have told us that they're giving us permission to spend tax dollars in this way. So that's giving us the opportunity to tell the state, thank you for the money, which is your tax money. This is the way the voters have asked us to spend the money or given us permission to spend the money. So it's important from that standpoint that we decide how we spend the money that's sent to us. Any other questions? I have about 20 flyers. I didn't expect 40 to 60 people. I don't know what I was expecting, but I do know that we're also having an open house at the library right now, which I'm assuming that you're all here. There will be another open house to discuss the school levy October 20th at the library, which there's another community event that day. So I have talked to Barb Choate down at the school. She is very happy to answer any questions that people have about the school levy. If you have specifics that I did not answer, I'd be happy to answer questions later. But Barb Choate she knows the numbers like the back of her hand and can tell you exactly what the Idaho codes are and what this levy is for. Just one other thing, this levy will not pay for the student occupied building that many of you have probably heard about. This levy will not go to that. The past levy was levied so that we could pay for part of that building. It will not pay for any of the track. It will not pay for any of those things. And this is a new levy with the items that I told you would be levied for.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. I don't think I waited for my mic to come back on. Thank you, Jim, very much. Appreciate that. And if the open house runs longer than this, then you can run over to the library and get some more information as we're done. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and go into our candidate forum. Jim, if you don't want to sit at the table, I'm not going to force you to sit up there in front of everybody at this point, but you're welcome to stay there if you would like. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so seeing how we started on that end of the table a moment ago, Steve, you knew you drew the short stick, right? So, all right, so we'll start with Mr. Finsky with your introductions. Again, it's a minute and a half. You can stand, be seated, whatever's most comfortable, use the microphone or not, whatever each candidate would like to do. Just make sure that if you don't use the microphone, they can hear you at the back of the room.
Well, I can tell you, I have got this command voice that my wife keeps hollering at me about, and simply because of the fact that I don't think she can hear me. But I want to thank you all for coming this evening. Your presence this evening speaks volumes towards your support for your candidates. I wish to recognize and thank my fellow candidates for being here today. In my mind, it takes courage and conviction to run for such a high, prestigious office. In 1978, at the age of 27, my family first moved to Weiser. We came from Baker, Oregon, 47 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long. My first job was working out at Champion Mobile Homes. Tough job. In 1986, at the age of 35, some 9 years later, I decided to run for public office. I had no true ambitions or aspirations of getting involved in politics, but a sincere desire to foster our community. However, I lost that election to a more seasoned candidate. I know I'd throw you in there somewhere. So here we are, 38 years later. My principles have not changed, nor has my desire to continue to support and protect our community. Over the past 11 years, I've devoted my life to teaching younger generations of my organization the 6 C's of leadership. I think it's time I practice what I preach. Communication, critical thinking, commitment, courage, and compassion. I hope by November you'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Just like him, I have an outdoor voice, and I'm not comfortable behind a desk. I'm John Schrolik. I grew up a Weiser High School graduate. I've been in the community the last 27 years teaching. All 27 of them have been government. I knew at some point I really wanted to run for public office, and it was a question of what office. But I didn't want to do it when I was really in the middle of teaching. I wanted to wait when I was getting near the end, because I don't think it's my job to teach my government kids to be me. I want to teach them critical thinking and think for themselves. So I really don't want them to know exactly how I feel on issues, and I have not told them that I'm running for anything yet, and I probably won't. Because if you guys want me, then that's good enough. I'm not going to try to get their vote from them. But anyway, I'm excited about the possibility of coming to Weiser and helping out. I don't know what I don't know. There's a ton of things I would have to learn if you choose me. But I'm excited about trying to do something for Weiser and do something for the kids. They have been my life, and that's what I think the future of our town is, our young people who are gonna take over and keep this town going the way we want it to go. So thank you for your time. That's all I have.
Hello.
I'm coming.
I'm a technology guy. My name is Joseph Vaughn, and I'm running for Weiser City Council because I believe in practical solutions, respectful dialogue, and a city government that truly listens. I work remotely in IT, although I didn't get the microphone right, where I've spent over a decade helping organizations improve systems, solve complex problems. Since moving to Weiser to support our family, I've been deeply involved in community service. Currently, I serve as the Vice President on the Weiser Architectural Preservation Committee and as a member on its board. Service is a central part of my life. I volunteer weekly with prison ministries, I participate in local preservation initiatives, and I support efforts that strengthen Weiser's sense of place and connection. I've been married for 18 years, and my wife and I are building a life rooted in service, in accountability, and a deep appreciation for the character of this town. I'm here to serve Weiser with integrity, transparency, and commitment to thoughtful progress. I was born in Baker City myself, and migrated here and chose to make Weiser my home, and I love Weiser so much. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Johnny Rhodes, and I'm running for one of the 3 open seats on our city council. Before moving to Weiser in 2001, I lived in Boise, Idaho, where I ran a small retail furniture store for several years. I spent my entire career in retail management. And I got some good news, I'm not a politician. I'm just a citizen who cares about our community. I married Rosie Horta Rhodes, a proud Weiser native. We have 2 boys who were born and raised here and both graduated from Weiser High School. In 2007, my wife and I started a company called Choices in Life, which offered a variety of classes for youth and adults on probation and parole. In 2009, my wife launched the Play Smart Washington County Coalition with support from others in the community. Play Smart focused on educating and raising awareness about drug and alcohol issues. I served as co-treasurer for the coalition and helped organize fundraising events to support its mission. My wife also launched the IDA-5 program, Idaho Drug Free Youth, at the high school, which I was involved in, supported, assisted with student activities and events. Over the years, I volunteered for many causes and participated in numerous fundraising events because I believe in giving back. I'm running for city council because I want to be a voice for the people. This community is our home, and each of us play a role. Thank you.
My name is Val Blevins. I've lived in Weiser since the late 80s, early 90s. I was a police officer for the city of Weiser from the reserve and full-time for 28 years. I've always cared about this town. I brought my children when they were very young to this town because this town was a place that I wanted my kids to grow up. It was a safe place, and it always has been a safe place, and I want to keep going that way. I've been a public servant for the whole time that I've been here mostly. I work for the Weiser Police Department, and currently I work for the Washington County Sheriff's Office. I have retired, so I only work 2 days a week. You know, it keeps my hobbies going. I want to do the city council because I still think I have something to give to this city. I think we need to, you know, make a safe place for the kids to grow up, keep it like it is, but we also have to grow. And I'd really like your vote.
Good evening, my name is Lisa Horzen, and I'm running for Weiser City Council. My family and I moved here over 20 years ago and brought our young kids, and from the get-go, I grew up in a small town, and that was my thought, is how can I contribute, how can I be involved, and how can I be aware? So right off the bat, I was involved in the school district with the kids. I worked on coordinating of fundraisers with Mr. Kirby, and then volunteering in the classroom, substituting. So got a real in-depth knowledge of the school district, which was truly a blessing in a lot of ways. And then same thing with my church. What can I give back? I was involved in the Weiser Chamber of Commerce. I served on the board. I was part of the Weiser Business Association, where we had a tremendous amount of fun. And then I started with the Washington County Economic Development Committee. And so some of you may remember that. It was quite a while ago, but that was a big thing for me, was how can I give back? How can I be part of the community? And one thing I've always said in the last 20 years is I have been truly fortunate to have met some of the best people I could have ever imagined in Washington County as an adult, for my children, for myself. I've received tremendous support in lots of ways, so it's important to me to give back. And the whole reason I started this was to be a common sense option. I am first and foremost huge on accountability for myself as well as others, if possible, and we're interacting, right? I understand things happen, things change.
Time.
Thank you.
This is already my favorite group of candidates because they actually stop when somebody says time. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the question and answer period. So let's see, since we picked on Steve first this last time, we'll pick on Lisa first this time. And our first question is going to be, and I'm happy to repeat this as we go down through if need be for you candidates. But again, remember you have 1 minute to answer your questions. First question is, what is your vision for balancing growth with preserving our community's character and values? What is your vision for balancing growth with while preserving our community's character and values?
That's actually a heavy question, but really, really important, right? Because we have a tremendous amount of historical buildings. We have a fabulous downtown that needs to be maintained. However, if we don't have growth, we don't have tax base, and everything runs on a budget, right? Whether it's contributed to by taxpayers or levies like Jim mentioned, or however activities we fund those things. My goal in general, if I'm elected, is to listen to constituents, do my research, and ask questions. So I don't feel like there's an easy answer for that right now, until, again, like John Trollick said, I don't know what I don't know, but I can guarantee you I would do the work and the research to ensure we preserve the quality of life in Weiser and Washington County as much as possible, while again, managing limited growth.
I see what Weiser needs to do by looking at some of the other surrounding communities. You know, when I first moved down here, driving through Fruitland and Payette didn't take no time at all. And now you're waiting sometimes during rush hour, you're waiting for the light to change twice before you even get to the light. With those types of growth so quick, it'll put taxes, I mean, it'll tax our infrastructure, it'll tax the police department, and everything needs to grow at the same time. So we have to figure out a balance of how the city has to grow and how we keep those things funded. And because if we get 2,000 or 3,000 more people, we might need 3 or 4 more officers. We might need to redo the sewage plant or the water treatment plant. So we got to figure out how to do that before we start just allowing great big subdivisions to come in. Because if we don't do that, we will be overwhelmed immediately.
That's a very tough question on growth. We need to grow in order for our city to move on. And when we grow, we also need to do our checks and balances. We need to make sure that we have development and we're able to support those developments. We got houses going up on 9th Street. We need to make sure that we have plenty of water for our citizens, the sewer, the electrical. The last thing we want to do is end up like Payette and run into problems. We also need to do our checks and balances. In order to be successful, we have to have an even balance to make it work. But what's most important is getting community members involved. Your input, coming to city council meetings, voicing your opinions. We need everybody's help in order to make this happen. It's not just gonna be us up front, making Weiser grow and saving our heritage.
Time.
It takes all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Growth is a question that has come up through some of my conversations as I've been campaigning, and these are some of the bullet points that I believe will help us with growth. I think we need to support some infill development if we don't know what that is. I would like to reuse existing structures. I'd like to encourage zoning updates for modest multifamily housing and allow ADUs on property. When we first moved here, we lived on East Park and 6th Street, and that land had plenty of room for an ADU. When we called in, the law as it stood, we needed to have 900 square feet or more to build an ADU to take care of our family. I thought that was pretty ridiculous. We talk about Champion, but then we don't support Champion with their own, part of their own product line. We should partner with builders and nonprofits to expand affordable housing, and the ADUs are a much more affordable option for people who want to take care of their relatives. Growth should reflect Weiser's identity, not erase it. And we have a comprehensive plan. We should use that as a guide for responsible growth that reflects Weiser's identity and long-term goals.
Well, having heard everybody else, I have a slight advantage or disadvantage because a lot of the nice ideas have been already spoken about. But I think Weiser's growth is a really interesting one because you're getting more homes and you're getting more people, but you're not getting new businesses. We're not getting a lot of jobs or industry coming in. So I don't know how you balance that because that's going to become a problem at some point. Your school enrollment is dropping slightly, but there's more people. So who's moving and what kind of jobs are coming in? That's going to be probably a really big question for the community and this council. What do we do next? I think I need to see a lot of numbers. I'd have to see some research to be able to tell you exactly what I think should happen, and I'd have to hear from the community. But infrastructure is going to be a big deal. But how do you balance that with the traditions and beautiful downtown that we have? That's a tough question, but I think we can do it. There we go.
You know, I could reiterate everything these fellow candidates said, but I do want to touch on one thing. And the newspaper was nice enough to put it in there with regards to the growing pains and the grant that the Lord's Foundation is providing to get help. After living here for as many years as I've had, why now? I mean, when I first came here and I ran, I looked at this city as being a retirement community. And I had that slapped in my face more than once. And so the more research I've done, I found out that 20% of the population of Weiser are elderly people 65 and older. What are we doing for them in terms of growth? What are we doing then for sustainability in Weiser? How are we helping them? And so if you're going to talk about values, we need to look at the senior citizens in this town as well as the growth of this town. I guarantee you, growth is coming. Whether you want it or not, it's going to come. The question is are we ready for it? And do we have a sustainable amount of leadership to make it happen? Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Well, we'll just kind of continue along that same path. One of the questions that was submitted this evening, and let's see, Mr. Schrolik.
Sure.
We'll start with you, and then we'll work down. So Steve will be last. Okay. So downtown has been making a comeback. What's your vision for continuing that momentum over the next few years?
Well, you know, I've been around a long time, and I remember when downtown was pretty vibrant. I can even remember, Washington Square, things like that. I think there's room to continue that growth and make sure downtown is up and coming. I'd love to see some things come in, things that would help the youth, be interesting in the evening for the adults. Now, how you encourage that, that's the big question. What do you have to do to draw those people in that want to create those kinds of businesses and keep the downtown with that nice old school feel, but give people things more to do, kids, adults, elderly. That would be my vision. I'd like to see that revive even more so. I know you already said it's done better, but I think there's a lot more that could be done possibly in the future.
Well, I agree with a lot of those points. I would say that adding some tourism in relation to community events, things that we do with like the Fiddle Fest. We can enhance on that. We could do we almost have once a quarter, but we could do once a month events around Weiser. You know, like it or not, Weiser's seen as a pass-through town. We're a rest stop on the way to go north, and I don't think that we ought to be that way. I think there's plenty of opportunity to encourage people to come off of the highway and go further than just McDonald's. We have one of the best candy stores in the entire state, and as they
Vote
come
for him.
as people visit these places, oh look, there's dudes down the street. Oh look, they've restored their train depot. We have lots of heritage-based tourism opportunities to utilize, and we can utilize these spaces for events that will attract more people. As they're here, they say, boy, Weiser is such a nice community. It's some of the feelings I think all of the candidates have had when they breezed through town at one point in time and said, I'd really like to stay here. Thank you.
Weiser's downtown development over the past several years have actually improved. They put sidewalks in, the bricks, they fixed up the Veterans Park. Weiser Classic Candy did the mural on the outside wall. You got shops out there that takes pride in their ownership and their business, clean sidewalks. It kind of reminds me of a town that you see on Hallmark. That's the direction I see us going with our town. It's an old-fashioned town, and it is going to draw people, but we as citizens have got to support our small businesses to keep it growing. We need to look for ways to improve, and there's grants out there that can help us with our downtown development. That's what started some of the developments where we got federal grants, so we were able to do the sidewalks, the curbs, and so forth. We need to check into that more, so we have funding available, so we can help our downtown businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everybody at the table. It takes the whole city to realize and have a focus or what they would like to see the town look like. Yes, we do need new businesses in town. I raised 3 daughters. As soon as they got old enough, they left because there was nothing for them to do. No place to go to work unless you wanted a low pay job. So if we've got to look at it like, yeah, there's places that we need to do the downtown again, get that up and going, and they've done a great job on it, but we also need to be bringing business in, because that's going to help the taxpayers base without raising a bunch of taxes for the people that live here. Because large corporations pay more taxes, and they just do. It's the way it works. And keeping downtown revived, I've seen where they've been having concerts and stuff, and that's really helping. It's bringing people downtown, and it's a lovely area, and I just hope that continues.
Having owned a commercial building downtown and had a business as well, when we did the Weiser Business Association, we had a tremendous amount of fun, but we were doing it on our own. And that's really taxing, right? Because not only are you maintaining your business, you also are doing those extra activities. And we had a lot of support for that, but there are programs like Main Street USA, that's a private entity that will help refurbish buildings. They'll help with activities, things like that. Lohr Foundation's been a big one for support. Vibe for a while did a lot of the planners, incorporating the Weiser High School Ag program. So I feel like it's incorporating our youth and build them the reason to be here, right? If they have investment in their community, they're gonna wanna stay here, they're gonna help build it, and they're going to bring it back. So I do agree that we do need larger enterprise and probably better paying jobs. 2 highest groups in the county for wages is, thanks.
Wow, okay, how do I follow up on that? I agree with regards to the youth aspect, because when you lead teenagers for the past 11 years, your love goes to their future, to create a character for them. And economic development and planning and zoning need to work in conjunction with our codes. We have to, and I think that's what Tony's after. I think Tony wants to bring that together so that when we do this planning and development, that we have the difference between what is a business area and which is a residential. Trying to separate the city out by saying, this is the elite and this is the poor, that ain't gonna cut it. The reality is bringing it together, recognizing what has to be done on our codes so that planning and zoning can work in conjunction with city council to make things like that happen. And in reality, when it comes to our youth, I want to thank Tammy. Idaho Pizza hires a lot of my Arrowheart kids, and I truly appreciate it. Rizzoni's Pizzas, as well as Domino's. And hiring the youth, getting them started in a working stage, is going to make this city grow. And it's going to want them to come back and help grow even further. Thank you.
Well, Steve, you provided a good segue for the next question, so I appreciate that. So we'll just jump right on down there to Mr. Blevins to start this one out. So, Lisa, that means you're batting in the number 2 position, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Okay, so seeing how Steve brought up code enforcement, we'll jump into a little code enforcement question. This one comes from another citizen. Code enforcement, specifically regarding abandoned buildings and derelict properties. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about rectifying that? How do you encourage those to be solved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? There you go.
Code enforcement, when I worked for the Weiser Police Department, the regular officers started doing that for a while. We were out there doing code enforcement while we'd go down and mark tires, make sure they weren't parked in the downtown area for too long. As far as abandoned buildings and stuff like that, if somebody abandons a place, it's probably gonna have to be the city to take care of it, because if they're gone, you've got nobody to sue or force that debt on. So, and if there is people to do that, that's what we have to do. We have to go after them. We can't just let them do that kind of stuff. But as far as code enforcement goes, it takes a lot more people than just one code enforcement person. Because the chief of police is out there, so I'm gonna pick on him a little bit. When we're out driving around, or when I was out driving around at night, we look for stuff like that. We look for code enforcement.
So much for your chance.
Well, it wasn't much of a bust for
I'll
us.
see if I can pick it up from there.
So I served on Washington County Planning and Zoning for 15 years, and as far as code enforcement goes within the city limits, a lot of buildings, specifically downtown, are owned by people that are not residents of Washington County, let alone the city of Weiser. My experience with county was, I honestly think the codes should be fines should be higher for those code violations. Not just because whether you're living in Washington County or not, but the FFA every fall does a cleanup, a yard cleanup. So I know that there's plenty of opportunity for assistance if for some reason you need your building hosed down or weeds cleaned or sprayed around there. This has been such a great community. I feel like that if you were, as an owner, if you were to reach out, someone would help you whether it cost you or not. Weiser City Fire used to hose off all the buildings downtown right before Fiddle Week. So, and again, things have changed for sure, but I think fundamentally codes and your enforcement of it, those fines probably need to be increased.
This is an ongoing topic with regard to code enforcement and just talking about the codes. I truly believe that we need to take a closer look at our codes, especially the way they're written. If you've ever read them, you're gonna go, what did that mean? And without being able to digest it properly. But as far as the enforcement of the code, it's a law. You break the law, someone needs to step up to the plate and cite. What I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is the code enforcement officer goes out and they cite, they get the citation, they end up going to court, and the judicial system looks at it and it goes, slap on the wrist, they're that. And then it's back doing it again. So how do you increase that? Do you increase the fines and make it worse? I don't know. Might be a possibility. Or maybe bringing the judicial system on board with the prosecutor and saying, what do we need to do this? Or just giving them a warning, and if they do it again, then slap. I don't know. With regards to property in Baker, you lived in Baker, I think Baker had a newspaper thing that said eyesore of the week. They used to post a picture of what the eyesore looked like, front page. Guess what? The next day the yard was cleaned up. Thank you, thank you. I'm not suggesting, Sarah, I'm not suggesting you do that. However, it might be an option.
I agree completely with Steve and everybody else on the council so far. Code enforcement needs to happen, okay? Now, the fines, do they need to be increased to put the rules on? Probably. But I think sometimes we hide behind blanket codes. And I do believe that sometimes, because it's easier just to have one rule and have that be the only thing that covers it, that doesn't always work. That maybe there needs to be a process, depending on the situation, where the city council takes a look at individual events when people say, here's what's going on and this is what needs to be different. I don't think we should just hide behind only codes. I think there needs to be a process to maybe, what would be the right word, have different, I don't know, have some differentiated situations. That's just what I believe. But everything else about enforcing codes, absolutely.
Ordinances, they affect our local economy, there's no doubt about it. I think we do need to review ordinances to ensure that they support the businesses and our livability in general. But I also think that we need to be compassionate about people who are unable to fulfill ordinances that are out there. There are elderly people who might not be able to keep their grass trimmed as low as the rest of us. And I think that we have plenty of volunteers to help pick up the slack where somebody is not intentionally lacking in their ordinance ability. I'll mow your lawn. If you want to call me, I'll mow your lawn. That's okay. I do think that education first is important, but we've seen that already. The mayor's been doing that in his letters, and it's time to match our bark to our bite, ultimately. So I think that we do need to have some stronger enforcement on these. We're at the city. Perhaps there's an idea for us, and I don't know the legality of this, to include a bill that's in your city bill if you're in violation. So we do need to improve our enforcement in regards to that. Perhaps there's an opportunity for low interest loans for somebody who needs help. Thank you.
Code enforcement, enough's enough. We're done. It's time to play hardball. I mean, if you look at the way the city's been over the past 10, 15 years, we've let it go. The ordinances are on the books. We let it go, we dropped the ball. Now we need to enforce it or take it off the books. That's plain and simple. We've given people opportunities, and now we need to be aggressive. We need to make our city better than what it is. We need to clean it up. And the way we clean it up is by enforcing those ordinances. They're there for a reason. And the reason is to protect our city, to make our city beautiful, to make it what it once used to be. But instead we're hiding behind it. We don't want to take on the challenge. We're afraid of hurting people. But you know what? That's the responsibility of enforcing an ordinance. An ordinance is put into place for it to be followed through. And we need to get an enforcement officer that's going to follow through.
Okay. We're down to our last couple of questions. So let's see, who hasn't got to start yet? So Johnny, we'll let you start this round. How's that? All right.
Great.
This individual would like all of you to give specifics on what you will bring to the council, not glittering generalities, but specifics on what you will bring to the city council and what you will specifically do if elected to city council.
What I'm going to bring to city council is integrity, honesty, hard working. I'm going to be working for you, the citizens, the people. And my goal is to enforce the ordinances. I'm sorry, but I've seen enough. And if I'm elected, I will make sure that the ordinances are being enforced. And we'll find ways to make it happen. There's organizations out there that can help people clean up their yards. But you know what? We have got to make the effort to make it happen. And if we all work together, by you showing up to the city council meetings, by you being a voice, by you voicing your opinions. Together as a community, we can make it happen. And I want to be the voice to lead you as a community to make it happen. If I'm elected, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a part-time job. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to be there early. I'm going to be there late. I'm going to hit the pavement. I'm going to see what's in the best interest of Weiser.
Time.
What I'll bring to the city council is what I've practiced for the last 30 years. My integrity. When I tell somebody I'm gonna do something, I do it. You know, I'll work for the city the best I can, like I've done for most of my career, well, all of my career, when I've been in law enforcement, but that's what I'm gonna bring to the city, and that's what I'm gonna bring to the council. The dedication to make this place a better Weiser. And what that means, I don't know, I haven't been in the councils a lot, but that's what I'm gonna bring to this town.
Like everybody else said, right, integrity, hardworking, research, listening for sure, but for specifics, planning and zoning. That is a huge one for me because I believe it is a big key cornerstone in the foundation for your city, for your budgeting, for your presentations, and for your success, both for your businesses, your homeowners, any landowners within the city limits. I think it starts with planning and zoning, whether it's in updating codes, updating code enforcement, or helping assist with that. The other one's gonna be infrastructure. Again, it's that foundation. I feel like, to a certain extent, we need to go back a little bit to the foundations of what Weiser is and has been, build that from there, and then everything on top of that is only gonna get better. So for specifics, it would be that, P&Z, infrastructure, affordable, and then standards, right? Affordable housing, I've heard that a lot, and that is important, but there's also a balance to that. Because affordable housing, especially for young people, is a challenge, but it's, I don't know about most of you, but it's a challenge if you're 50.
Time.
Okay, Steve.
Second last. Okay, well, the heart of being a candidate to run for city council is enacting the laws and the policies accordingly. And we just talked about the codes and the enforcement of the codes and the changes of the codes from my perspective that need to be changed. But I think the primary thing in conjunction with what Lisa said is working with P&Z to help this city grow. Now I know it's gonna be a gradual growth, but I think if we work in conjunction with P&Z as council members and make the changes appropriately to our codes to fit that program, I think the city will grow even faster. And last but not least, to continue to support our local businesses. We have great businesses within this community. I can tell you, from working with Earhart, when I ask for a donation, they don't balk about lending it to my kids. They know it's for the kids. And the youth, and our youth, like I said before, our youth is our future. You know, I don't know what tomorrow has in store for me because I've always said tomorrow's not promised to anybody. So we'll see what happens.
So everybody here has their unique perspective and what they bring to the table. And it has to do with your career. Mine specifically will be that relationship with the kids and the schools and knowing that pretty well. And our school has to work very closely with our city because we share a lot of facilities and we do a lot of things together. Community events, city sports, city community sports, all that kind of stuff. That would be my unique gift to come back into the city council. Everything else is something I'm gonna have to learn. That's all gonna be a learning process for me. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know what I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. If I need to do the research, I'll do the research. But that would probably be my unique gift. Everything else, you know, about me, I either probably taught your kids or your grandkids or someone you're related to, right? And so they probably have already told you who I am. That you should probably already know. But that my unique thing I would say,
Time.
specific, is that.
Well, Well, I'm gonna let you in on a little, on the inside, on this side of the table, because as I've talked to all of you during this campaign, these are some of the bullet points that you've told me that are important to you. Communication and public input, which I'll spend most of my time talking about. Potentially for a city-county liaison and tax equity is an issue. Property tax fairness and some long-term residency issues. Infrastructure and visibility. Historic preservation and civic identity. These are the things that you all care about, that I too care about as well. But on communication, I think we need to support clearer and more consistent communication from our city leadership. I heard an advocacy for suggestion boxes or digital write-in options for residents and businesses for their feedback. Let's be frank, most of us aren't gonna go to the city council meetings beyond this right here, the election cycle. I've seen them, they're pretty sparse. So this is your opportunity to tell us what you need for us to do or to start showing up to those council meetings. I think we need to promote transparency and two-way dialogue between the council, the community.
Time.
Thank you.
And Joe, just in case you haven't figured out my pattern yet, you can keep a hold of that microphone. Okay, last question, and perfect lead in, again, thank you. So last question for the evening is, how will you make sure that community invoices are included in the decision-making of the city council?
Well, good, I get to finish my thought. I was saying promoting transparency and a two-way dialogue between the council and the community, the council and the chamber, the council and the schools. I think it's very important, the council and the police department. I think it's very important for us to keep our communication lines open, and part of communication is listening. And that's what I've been doing for all of you, is I've been listening and documenting the issues and things that you find the most important. That's what I wanna bring, is what you need fixed. I'm not gonna have the answers for absolutely everything, but I can be your soundboard. And I realize that I won't have the answers, but I will put in the work to do the research and bring to the council your concerns. I think that's vitally important. Thank you.
I think it's community involvement. It's gonna take each and every one of us here to work together, show up to our city council meetings, voice our opinions. If I'm elected, I will listen to each and every one of you. I will take time to listen and do the research to get back with you. The most important thing is we work together as a community. We all come together and we voice our opinions. Because if we stay silent, what is that going to get us? Nothing. That's why we need to voice our opinions, go to our city council meetings, we need to talk to our council leaders, and we need to do something. We need to be proactive. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
No. How will you make sure the community's voices are included in the decision-making process of the council?
Well, I've got a cell phone, and most other people do. I'll be available certain times of the day. I'm retired. I work 2 days a week. So if you got concerns, call me. I'll take them to the council. I'll take them to the other council members. I'm not gonna turn people away if they wanna call me, not at 3 o'clock in the morning, but, do this reasonable. I'll be available for the public. Cause that's what we need. We need interaction with the council and the public. Cause you guys run this town. You just put us in a place to make sure it's run the way you want to. So we have to listen to you and we have to give you that time.
I agree with what everybody said. Communication is key. So like anybody else, cell phone, text, email availability for sure. I also believe it's a partnership. So with the challenges, issues, and concerns, by all means, bring it to me. And it would be the problem, suggested or researched recommendations for resolution, and then I do my part. So if someone comes to me and they've got a question, it can't just be that this is what I'd like to see, which definitely I want to hear, but by the other part of that is, what would you recommend the solution is. And then we can do our part as a council to either meet in the middle or build the bridge and make it better. I think those two things are really important, is that it has to be community buy-in, but you have to come up with more than just, talking or concerns. It has to have some meat behind it. What's the plan for resolution? And then as a council, we can do our due diligence as well and dig further into it.
Communication is the key. It's one of the 6 C's of the leadership that I try to teach my kids. Without this, unfortunately, if I get in office, I gotta use this. So I teach that because in some cases, communication this type is detrimental. But critical thinking is also important, because if you don't analyze what's being out there and analyze what you're telling me, then how can I produce it? How can I bring it towards to city council and use the commitment that I have to sell it? And I have to sell it. And last but not least, courage is a part of that, because if I don't have the courage to stand up for my convictions and your convictions, don't put me in there. Don't put me in there. And last but not least, and I talk about our elderly, compassion falls in. You have to have compassion for the city of Weiser. You mentioned earlier, what if a person's got a young lawn they can't clean because they're older? Yeah, have the compassion, find the people to do the job for them instead of citing them. But that's listening to the public, Joe. But last but not least, those 5 pillars are what create us, our character. That's what our character exists on. And I hope that you take that into.
Well, basic democracy only works on communication. If you don't talk, and if you don't get a hold of people and voice what you believe, then you don't have much of a democracy. That's just how it works. So everybody here has kind of said that already. I'd be more than happy to listen, but here's what I don't want to listen to: just straight complaints. If you got a problem, tell me what you think the answer is. I want to hear that, so that if I'm elected and I go to the city council, I know I have something else to talk about than just somebody whining. I want to hear an answer, not just a complaint. And then if that's not the right answer, I'm perfectly okay with voting how I think it should go, and you might get a no. I hope that's not the answer that you get, but it could be. Because I'm gonna try to make the best decision when I have all the information that I can. But I certainly like to have some possible answers rather than 6 complaints.
I'm getting rid of all the things I want to say. Like Facebook is for complaints. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and move on to closing statements, and we'll just go ahead and go right back down the list. Mr. Finsky, would you like to start us off with closing statements?
Well, as I indicated earlier, I've lived here for 47 years. And as my colleague and past candidate I ran against, his first question is why? Well, I served 26 years in the military for my country. I've done close to 20 years as a public servant here in the city of Weiser as a police officer. And I've served as a SRO at the schools because I love kids, and I'd like to see the kids grow. Unfortunately, keeping our kids in this community is one of the hardest things that a parent can do. Because once they graduate, they're either in the military, or they're off to college, or they're struggling to find work and live with mommy and daddies. And mommy and daddies want to kick them out the door. Suffice it to say, when it comes to this office, it's not. But you got to have commitment to stand in city council and not be a little doggy in the back window that the heads just goes up and down. You have to live by your convictions. And swear to God, when it comes to that, if I have to say no, I'm going to say no. Thank you.
Well, in closing, first I'd like to say thanks to everybody for coming. I see how important this election is to everybody. I'm excited about the opportunity to run and maybe serve this school, this town, this district better or in a different way. I'm excited about the future. I've listened to everybody up here. There's a lot of great ideas and there's a lot of good candidates. I'm fortunate to be amongst them. I feel lucky. But I really do want to do this, and I've never done anything in my job. There's nothing I've ever taken on that I haven't done my best. Now, is that good enough? I don't know. But I will do my best for you if you're elected me.
know, it's tempting to end by listing all the reasons that I hope to earn your vote. But if I haven't already encouraged you in that direction, I invite you to come and get to know me better. Come ask me some questions. Sit down with me and have a conversation. I'm all ears and I'm here for that. I'll actually be hosting a casual conversation at Dude's Kitchen on Sunday, October 19th at noon, and I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have further questions. Ultimately, it is a blessing to have so many candidates who care so deeply about Weiser. Thank you so much. Thank you to each of them, and thank you to everyone who showed up here tonight, whether in person or online. If I don't earn your vote, that's okay. What matters most is that you show up in November and cast your ballot. Your voice matters, and Weiser deserves your participation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow candidates, members of the Chamber of Commerce and the Weiser Signal newspaper, thank you all. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your input, and thank you for showing your support. Because this is what it's going to take for our town to make it. Working together as a community, coming together. If I can see this great turnout we have tonight at our next town hall meeting, that would be great. And if we can voice our opinions instead of hiding them, that would be great. Because the only way that we're going to make our town better is you, the citizens, speaking up, us, the council members, doing the job for the city, for you, the citizens. I want to be your voice if I'm elected. I want to go to bat for you, and I will. I'll be the one that shows up an hour and a half early before the meeting starts to make sure that I have everything covered. And I'm not afraid to reach out to the citizens for help, because if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it together. The only way. So on November 4th, I hope I have earned your vote. Thank you.
I feel very privileged to sit up there with this group of people that is running for city council. If people have never served the public, it's a unique thing. You get the good with the bad. You always meet them in certain situations on their worst day, and you still have to push through and get things better. So when somebody does have a problem, come down to the city council, come down with a solution too. You might have the solution that we need. You are a vital part of this. We're your voice piece. So just remember that, and I just am proud to be up there with these guys.
Well, the good news is you have some really great candidates to pick from. The bad news, you can only pick 3. But same thing like everybody said, I'm super pleased to be a part of this group, and I would appreciate your vote in November. If you have questions at any time, I'm willing to meet and interact and see what we can come up with, right? I'm a doer by nature, so I am goal-oriented, so I like projects, and towards that end, that's exactly what I would do if elected for city council, is make my best effort with integrity, hard work, research, and asking questions. For those of you that do know me, I am not really afraid to ask questions, and I'm also not really afraid to work. So towards that end, whoever you choose, that's wonderful for Weiser because everybody wins. Thank you.
On behalf of the Weiser Signal American and the Weiser Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank all of you for coming out this evening and participating. And of course, thank you to the candidates who have agreed to throw their hat into the ring and take on a monumentous task of helping to run our city and make it a better place to live, work, and play. Again, November 4th is Election Day. The most important thing that you can do at any time in your life is to get out and vote. But even more importantly than that is to take a friend with you and get them to vote as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please exercise your democratic right to vote on November 4th. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you, livinginthenews.com, for presenting as well. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen.